Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Good morning. It is Wednesday. Oh, no, it is not. It is Thursday. Good morning. Welcome. And what a day it's been, right? It's already started off. I've had so many things happen this morning, but fortunately they've been good. And then even sometimes, when they don't go right, we just kind of make an adjustment and we adapt and adjust. So welcome, welcome. My name is Kimberly Trummel, and I look forward to spending some time with you today. We're going to talk a little bit about attitude. Good morning. I've had the pleasure of working with you all in one capacity or another, and or being your friend on Facebook. Either way, I'm just thrilled to know you. I was reminded of attitude of late, how important it is for us to choose our attitude. Every day we get up, right? And hopefully, right? We get up and we have a choice every day of what we're going to wear, what we're going to do to some degree. We have a choice and a decision to make. And the reason I bring that up is because lately, and actually for the last few years, I've been posting positivity or something of value every day, for some time now. Sometimes, honestly, it's for me. I think I've told y'all a couple of that, a couple of people that. So why is that important? Because sometimes I just think to myself, what is it that people could hear that could help them? Or sometimes it's what is it that I need that would help me that I can actually share with folks. So today we're going to talk about attitude. Our attitudes are so important. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. So glad you're with me this morning. I know everybody's getting ready to jump out. Either go out the door or work remotely or get on to your day. I know everyone is currently facing a lot of different challenges, right? Lots of different things going on. We've got things going on around the world. We've got things going around on our city. We got things going around in the suburbs. We've got weather patterns that are kind of weird. We've had some people with power outages. Oh my gosh, if there hasn't been a time for choosing our attitude, I would say this is that. So what are your thoughts on your attitude? I can't hear your feedback, but as we reflect, and I'm mindful of the time, but as we reflect, what are your thoughts on attitude? Every single day, as I mentioned as at the top of this, is that every single day we have a choice. We have to decide which way what we're going to wear, what we're going to eat, and then also how we're going to behave. And when I say behave, that's a strong parental term. I don't really mean it like that. But what I mean is, how are we going to interact with others? And how are we going to frame our brain, our attitude? So I'm going to share with you 7 principles of attitude. It comes from John Maxwell's book, Attitude 101. I was on the phone with his CEO yesterday, and we were talking about attitude. It turned into this nice little teaching session. And I thought, you know what? I should really share this. So that's what I'm doing. So these are the thoughts. Basically, right now, what's going on? We've got so much going on. People are discouraged. People are pre-depressed and or full-on depressed. We've got people who aren't working. We've got people who are working, and they're trying to figure out how to maneuver in this new, hopefully temporary normal. So how do you lead people who are discouraged? How do you lead people who are down? This is something that, and it's not just like one day something didn't go well. We're talking about since March 20th, when life came to a fairly hard stop. At least that was my experience, because that was when we immediately shifted to working remotely. Thank goodness, thank God, thank the universe that was a possibility. But if you think about it, what changed? So many things changed March 20th. And your date might be a little bit different. I talk about this often, but we still have control over our attitude. So many people are working with blanket depression. There's blanket depression on our leadership today. Um, People are weary. These are the things that I'm hearing from some of the leaders that I've had the opportunity and the blessing to work with. They say, my people are weary. My people are tired. They're looking for a break. How do you best lead people when they're worried, when they're tired, and when they're discouraged? How difficult is it to lead during these times? It's very difficult. In the past, an employer, a company owner, all they pretty much had to deal with was a family member. You know, you have someone, their family member's not feeling well. You have someone else, they're going through a relationship issue. You have someone else, they're not feeling well. But this is probably the first time that we've had back to back to back to back to back to back things. We basically had 5 crises. I'd almost say 6 now. So why do we say that? Is number one, I say you've got COVID. That was our first redirect. Then we had the health crisis. Then we had the financial crisis because of the stay-at-home order, the shelter in place. Then we had the emotional crisis, and we had an extension of the financial crisis. A lot of people's unemployment is starting to wear out. You also have a lot of people who are working on trying to keep their apartments in a place that evictions are starting to happen all over the place. So why is this important? Because of the fact that you're most likely dealing with somebody who is weary. So where does that leave you? You're a leader, you're a company owner, you're a managing broker, you are a owner of a mortgage company, you are a first responder, you are a essential worker working in the hotel, working in the hospital industry. You are an LPN, you are something that requires you to have your game face on. But you know what? Sometimes it's okay to take that game face off a moment and allow yourself the opportunity to be human. A leader's responsibility in times of change is great. I think no more time as I've ever seen before in my adult life. And as a youngster, I don't ever remember paying much of attention to this, but I don't think I've ever seen the necessity for a leader to continue to morph, adjust, pivot, redirect, reframe, retool to be able to stay engaged with his people or her people or their people during times of change. So find a way not to get caught up in the everydayness of COVID. And that's really hard because COVID is with us every day. I don't mean the virus itself, I mean the fact that it exists. So when we think about that, we have to be mindful of not getting involved in the emotional crisis and folding and not being able to function during this time. Crisis is that we have to come to the conclusion, or we have to come to the mindset that crisis will not define me. Yes, there's crisis going on around me, but crisis will not define me. Think about that. You have a choice. I was speaking with someone the other day, and I was reminded of Joyce Meyer's quote, you can either be pitiful or you can be powerful, but you can't be both. One of the other things that we think about is how do we interact with pain? How do we respond to pain? One of the 15 invaluable laws of leadership, of growth that I speak on, is the law of the rubber band. If you think about a rubber band, and I don't happen to have one with me right now, but if you think about a rubber band, it stretches. We're very much like a rubber band. If we don't stretch ourselves, we stay like this. Well, if we're like that, how possible is it for us to be able to help others? So basically, decide that crisis will not define me. Instead, it will refine me. It will make me better. Old school phrase, that which doesn't kill me makes me stronger, right? Ever heard that? My mom or my grandma used to say that. Wow, for such a time as this, is that relevant? So if you choose the right attitude, we've had an economic shutdown. We've had we had the economic shutdown. We're on the brink of an entire meltdown. Plus we have the pandemic. Plus we have people not being able to keep their places, their rental units. There is enough going on around you that if you are not already discouraged, you could get discouraged. One of the things that I found is that I set aside a time to look at the news, check in with my friends on Facebook. I look at the news, I see what's going on, and I put it away. Because if I don't put it away, guess what? It's this dark cloud following me the entire day that frames how I interact with everyone, whether it's like this virtually or whether it's in my own home. You have to be mindful if we're in the same walls since March, even if though we're going out lately a little bit more. But if we're in the same four walls, the opportunity for disconnect and misunderstanding is high, right? So what do we have to do? We have to frame our brain, make a decision, stay out of the news on 100% basis. And that's hard sometimes because it kind of draws you in. You want to have something to grab onto when you're having a difficult day. You have to allow yourself and others on your team to be vulnerable. Tell them it's going to be all right. We're going to get through this together. If there was ever a time that your people need to hear that we're going to be okay, and this is what we're doing to readjust and stay connected with your people, it is now. We can't have certainty, but we can have clarity. We can't have certainty. We don't know sometimes from day to day what's going to happen. But what do we know? We know that we can have clarity. And we know that as a leader that this is what John Maxwell says, there are no two consecutive days where they're good in a leader's life. Sometimes you have a great day, sometimes you have a day that's not so good. But I'm not telling you to never have a bad day. That's impossible. But I can say that what you do with what's happened that day is important. Turn around and do what you can to help a hurting world. We can choose our attitudes in the midst of adversity. You want to be a voice of hope. You want to cultivate positive attitudes in your surroundings. Adversity creates resilience. I love this. It's kind of like that rubber band thing I was talking about. Adversity creates resilience. This comes from Daniel Goodman's book called The Emotional Intelligence. There is no psychological skill that is better than resisting impulse. We have to not react. We have to slow down, take a step back, figure out what's going on, and then respond. There's a big difference between responding and reacting. Resisting the urge to just knee-jerk reaction creates reward. Adversity creates maturity. So this is number 2. I said I promised 7. The first one was adversity creates resilience. The second, adversity creates maturity. So anybody who's been through anything, which is everybody, it creates maturity. Whether we want it or we've chosen it, it's what happens. Adversity drives better performance. It drives better performance. It makes you do better as a leader. It makes your people do better because you connect with them. And therefore, everybody wins. It's a win-win situation. Adversity provides greater opportunity, but you have to be looking for the opportunity to see it. Adversity prompts innovation. Adversity prompts innovation. It prompts or creates the space for a new way for things to be done. Adversity can also bring an unexpected benefit. An unexpected benefit. What's our first reaction, generally speaking, when it comes to adversity? It's to fold. But if we look for how we can find a benefit, that is great, because there's a benefit somewhere. I don't know if you've ever heard that story about there's a kid in a horse stall, and there's all this manure, and he's like in there shoveling. And someone comes in and says, "What are you doing?" He says, "With all this manure around here, there's got to be a horse somewhere." So look for the horse. Look for the positivity. It's there. It's hidden. It's covered. I'll agree with you there. And the last thing that adversity does is it motivates. It motivates us to change, to get to our next higher self. To get out of the depression blanket, we need hope. We need to create hope for each other. We need to create hope for our teams. We need to create hope for our families, our communities. We must create hope. One will not give into overwhelming anxiety, even in the face of setback. Again, this comes from emotional intelligence. Find hope. Establish hope. Share hope. Be hope. Replicate hope. We need something to hold on to. Hope is that thing. Be that hope for someone else. When you're able to create that, and if you're not, then you can do some self-development to get there, because you can't give from what you don't have. So one thing I'm learning is that in order for me to give out, I have to make sure I stay full. And then I'm able to give out. And then I get full again. And then I give it out again. The most important thing to be mindful of is find hope. Be hope. Mahatma Gandhi, I think I may have posted it this morning. Be the change you want to see in this world. Say to yourself, I will find hope, and I will withstand defeat. This will motivate me to not only do great things myself, but to influence, impact, and lead others to do great things. Well, thank you for joining me this morning. I appreciate the time. I always do. Thank you all for jumping in and responding to the trainings that I've been having. That's been really cool. I've had several now on the 15 invaluable laws of leadership. I'm working on leading through crisis, and then I've got one called From Adversity to Advantage. And it's all based on John Maxwell's content. I mean, I do write some of my own content. However, I write a lot of it, but I folded in John Maxwell's stuff because I am hearing, well, first off, I love John Maxwell's work. He's been in the motivational and self-development role in 40 years now. And he's written over 73 books. And I followed him since, I don't know, mid-20s, early 30s. And to have the opportunity and the blessing to be able to speak, train, and coach with his content is like, eek, I'm really excited. So thank you for listening. Be well, be safe, stay up, have hope, be hope. And this too shall pass. We're going to get through this. So be well, take care of yourself. Thanks for listening. I will check in with you another time. Be well. Bye-bye.